Within Service 365, you can do both quoted and time and material jobs. So if I go into my quotes, this is where I keep all of my estimates that I'm working on, that I'm building out right now, or that I'm waiting for approval from a manager for. Maybe if I've quoted an amount to the customer that's above my approval threshold. And ones that I'm waiting to get back from the customer as well. So ones that I've sent to my customers and I'm waiting for their acceptance. So you can see the quotes that I have open right now, the various stages of the workflow. I can turn on the bucket view here, and that shows me them in this format. Now, it's the same data, just displayed in a different format. So the nice thing about the workflow is that the quotes, just like jobs and POs, within Service 365, these move through the various stages of the workflow automatically as you take some action in the system. So you don't need to drag and drop them between buckets or manually change the status to something else. As you take some action inside of the system, the quotes will move through the various buckets automatically. So if I turn off the bucket view, go back to the list view for a second here. If I want to start a new quote, I can go start quote. So I'm going to build out a new estimate here. So we'll put in our customer as a test customer here just to demonstrate. And you'll notice here I have create new customer. So that's a common feature of the system as well, that if the customer, the vendor, the inventory item, whatever it is you're searching for, if that doesn't already exist in the system, you can create it on the fly. Okay, so I'm going to say the site address and the billing address are the same. You could set the billing address and the site address to be different if needed. And we'll say this is going to be a really simple quote to, we're going to rewire the entire house. So we'll do a rewire of a house just here to demonstrate. So you'll see I have a few other boxes I can fill out here. If the project manager is going to be somebody different to who's quoting it, then we can fill that out. So here I have a drop-down box that says type, residential or commercial. So this is actually a custom field, what we call an attribute that I built in. So you can make attributes throughout the system. Drop-down boxes, date picker boxes, whatever you need, just simple text boxes. Anything where you need to capture some data that we don't have a box for already, you can make your own. So here I'm going to say this is a residential job, and I'm going to go start quote. The nice thing about those attributes as well, so we've just categorized this as a residential job. We made that drop-down box, that's in our quotes, and we can filter on that in reports as well. Okay, so I'm into my quote now, and you can see, again, I have my summary fields up here in the top right, and my cost and my sell prices. These figures are going to populate in real time as I add labor and material to the quote. So the first thing I'm going to do is build out my scope of work. So this is where I can break my quote, my job down into smaller subsections so that I can manage them more easily, and I can put labor and material against each scope item if I want to. So we're just going to go with the very simple one of remove old wiring, and we'll say install new wiring, and then we'll just say clean job site. So we're going to put 3 tasks on this job. In reality, a job of this size would probably have something more complex written here. Nice thing about the scopes is that you can actually use AI help to rewrite them as well. So we have an AI help button here, and that uses a ChatGPT integration, so you can actually use AI to rewrite your scopes of work based on a prompt that you give the system. So that's kind of a nice feature to make sure that your quotes are nicely written for when you send them to your customers. Okay, so now that I've built out my scope of work, we need to add some labor and material. So I'm going to go into my worksheet, which is where I do that. And this is where I can add all of my line items onto the quote. So as I click into the drop-down box here, you see there's 4 things that I can add to the quote: item, resource, kit, and group. So an item is an individual item, so a physical thing that I'm going to use and then never see again. Or it could be a non-physical thing like a service, a warranty, a shipping charge, a service call, whatever it happens to be. A resource is a person, that's the labor, so we'll come back to that in a moment. And then I have a kit or a group. So a group is a bundle of parts, and you can put labor into bundles as well. So it's just simply a bundle. You say these parts are often used together. So it's just simply a way of adding a whole bunch of line items onto the quote in one go. And then a kit is a more sophisticated version of a group. So a kit is what you can build out to say, for every, when I'm doing this amount of work, this is the amount of labor and the amount of material that I need. So for example, to use an electrical example, for every 100 foot of wire that I install, how much conduit do I need? How many connectors do I need? How much labor do I need, etc. To give a roofing example, it could be for every square foot of roof that I lay, how many shingles do I need? How many nails, etc. And again, how much labor. So you can build out kits to make quoting really fast and really accurate. So for this example, we're just going to add individual line items. So if I go to add an item here, and now I need to search for the item that I'm going to put on this job. So in reality, we would probably put a few on this job, but we're just going to keep it real simple right now and add one item for labor, one item for material, just so you can see how that works. So we'll search for the wire and we'll say we want T90. So you notice as I search, I'm bringing up results here. This is what's in my inventory. So this is a SKU, an item number that's in my inventory right now. Doesn't necessarily mean that I have any on hand, just means that it's a SKU that I have in my system. But again, it said create new item. So if it doesn't find what you're looking for, you can create the item on the fly. Just want to show you as well, if we search for conduit, you can actually put images into the system as well for each item and show those in your search results. You can also show them on the PDF that you send to the customer if you want. So we'll go back and we'll add our T90. So sure, we'll use this. So the quantity on the quote was 0, so we're going to put that on the quote now. And we'll just say we want 500 feet. 500 meters rather. So quantity of 500, and you'll notice the system gave me a unit cost and a unit sell price automatically. So the cost is from what I paid for it. So I buy my material on a PO that also goes through Service365, so the system knows what my costs are. In terms of the sell price, that's generated from a markup table that we put into your settings. So again, if you become a customer of Service365, if you use the system, we help you build out markup tables, charge out rates, etc., and get all those admin settings right before you get going with the system. So here, it gave me a unit sell price of 1660 based on my markup table. The nice thing about the markup table is that as your suppliers, your vendors put their costs up over time with inflation, your sell prices to your customers rise proportionately with that. They rise in line with your increased cost to make sure that you don't lose money. As you can see, both the cost and the sell price are editable, so I could mark this up more if I wanted. So if I wanted to mark this up to $20, I could do that, and then I'll say add. And now I have my first line item on my quote. So first thing you can see is that the cost is color coded in green, and that means that's the system's way of saying this is a because we have this in stock right now, we know what you paid for it. This is the system's way of saying we stand by this price. This is this cost. This is accurate cost. So I want 500 and my unit sell price is $20, so my total sell is $10,000, and my margin on that line item is 79%. And as I scroll up to the top now, you'll notice my material cost is starting to fill out, because again, these all these financials will fill out in real time as you add or remove anything from the quote. So now let's add one item for labor. So labor in terms of Service365 is a resource, and here I can say select resource and who do I want to put on this job. So we'll say an electrician. And all the options in these drop-down boxes are all configurable in your settings. So it's an electrician working regular time. How many hours is it going to take him? We'll just say 8 for this example. So I'll put in 8 hours. And again, it gave me a cost and a sell price automatically. So the unit cost is the hourly wage that I'm going to pay to the electrician to do this work. And that cost was generated because that's the blended average cost of all of the electricians that I have on my books. So it's going to be a blended cost for labor, and the sell price comes from a charge out rate table, similar to the markup table for material. With labor, we have a charge out rate table that we build into the settings. So it's saying that I charge out an electrician's time at $100 an hour, and again, that's editable if I want it to be, but I'm going to leave it as is and go add. And now I have 2 line items on the quote. So I have the wire that we added a moment ago, and now I have an electrician working 8 hours. So now that's affected my margin, 77% for the whole job. So I'm going to go ahead and get this quote in front of the customer now. So you'll see that I have a sell price here of $10,800. The figures within the grey box are suggested figures based on your charge out rates and your markup table, and here where I click on the blue text, that's actually where I confirm the price, because I could change the overall price if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave this as per the suggested price of $10,800 and save. Okay, so now my quote's updated and it's ready to go in front of the customer. So to send it to the customer, I can go to my hamburger menu and print preview. And so this is a preview of what the PDF is going to look like. Now, there are other print options. I can quite heavily configure and make templates for how I want the PDF to look, and I can also lock that down so that people can't change the format. But I'm going to go with this as is. So it automatically adds my terms and conditions underneath, and there I have my grid and my pricing, payment terms, all the stuff that the customer needs to see. So I can either send this to the customer straight through the system by email. All of our PDFs within the system, quotes, invoices, POs, credit memos, can all be sent to the customer directly through Service365, or I can download it and send it through my email system. So if I download it, it's going to say, do you want to set the quote to waiting customer acceptance? We'll say yes. Okay, so that downloaded. Now I can go back into the quote, and now the quote's gone to waiting customer acceptance status. So as I click around, and I can see most of these boxes now are grayed out, not clickable, because we can't edit the quote at this point because we formed a contract with the customer and we're waiting for them to accept. Customer rather can accept either by verbally. They can click the accept button within the email. If you email out the system, customer can do an e-acceptance by clicking a button, or they could e-sign the PDF and send it back. We could upload that as a file within the job, just put within the quote rather. Just put that right in here. Other things we can do is we can create new versions if the customer comes back wanting to change the scope of work. We can do unlimited new versions, and we can also go back and see the difference between the old version and the new version. So let's pretend in the real world we did get the customer acceptance now. We can go to the hamburger menu and cut new job. And if we say yes, we want to do that. If the customer had given us a PO number and maybe a PO like a PDF or a Word doc or something as well, we could upload that now. We can also still do that later, but we'll just type in a PO number for now and say OK. And now we have turned that quote into a job. So the quote is closed and the job is open. Any reporting that we do on any quotes that we made will show this as an opportunity that we won. We got the job, and now the job or the work order is open.